To announce our next speaker, we're going to go somewhere completely, entirely different. And I'll call up Rajesh to come up and take it over. So let's give a hand to Rajesh.
Okay, so how about we have a quick celebration? So I have sweets. You can like just distribute among yourselves. You can just like pass on.
What do we celebrate?
You'll get to know what Nikhil, you want to help?
I might be all of it.
Wait for everyone to kind of like at least half of them to get the sweets. I'll get started with the talk. So my name is Rajesh Krishnamurthy, and okay. So the reason why we were having sweets is I wanted to congratulate all of you for making it till here. So when I say till here, I do not mean to just Cisco or to this AIM talk, but for making so far in the journey of your life. How many of you here has ever wondered about the odds that you'd be in Cisco and at this place right now? Well, I had similar question around a month ago where I wanted to know what are the odds that would take me to be in front of this wonderful audience. But I'm going to answer this question, the odds that I will be here at the end of this talk, so that none of you walk out of here. So it's an interesting number for all of you. Okay. So around a month ago, when I was scrolling through my LinkedIn account, I came across this post from Bill Gates, where Bill Gates was referring to this book known as Origin Story. So Origin Story is a book which talks about how our universe evolved around 13.8 billion years ago from a single point smaller than the size of an atom. It exploded to create stars, planets, Earth, and all the beautiful things that we see around us right now. So that's where it started, around 13.8 billion years ago. So I've come across numerous blogs, posts, and TED Talks just like this one from numerous people and great speakers where everyone is talking about how we evolve. So when I looked at all this, I felt that there's one point that everyone is missing, and that was, yes, we can surely get the knowledge about how we came into existence, but apart from that, my perspective was, what were the life lessons that we as humans can learn from our universe or the cosmos? So that is nothing but the main title and inspiration for today's talk, the lesson from our cosmos. So around 67 million years ago, there was this asteroid which was the size of 100 times a football field and could travel from New York to San Francisco in 2 minutes and had a destructive capacity which was equivalent to 10 billion times the bomb that was dropped at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So this asteroid had that much of destructive capacity. Now, this asteroid was making its journey towards our planet Earth. On the receiving side were these creatures, dinosaurs. So when dinosaurs existed in our planet around 67 million years ago, they were the dominant species. And we humans, and mammals from whom we humans evolved, were basically tiny creatures who stayed on trees because they didn't want to get eaten by these dinosaurs. So because of which, mammals never had an opportunity to evolve. Now this asteroid made an impact on our planet Earth and changed the history of our planet. And this is the reason why all of us are here. So this is one of the famous, not famous quote. It says, like we can say that two dinosaurs are having a conversation where they say, no matter how bad things may look, you just have to say to yourself, hey, it's not the end of the world. But it was for them, but not for us. Now scientists say that one fascinating thing about this asteroid was it was lucky for us humans and unlucky for dinosaurs. And had this asteroid been a little bit small, little bit bigger, or had it made impact on some other place, then we would have had probably a planet without life. Had it been a little bit bigger, we would have had something like this. Or had it been a little bit smaller, then probably we could have seen something like this, where we had a human and a dinosaur relationship. Or probably dinosaur might have evolved to become much smarter species, and they would be doing things that we do, and we would have had much bigger Cisco buildings because we have to accommodate all of them. So another event event that happens at cosmos and which threatens our life is supernova. So supernova is nothing but the death of a star. Now, NASA says that even small supernova explosions can have huge impact on our planet. And when I say huge impact, it includes like mass extinctions and like depletion of our ozone layer and a lot of things. Now, so this is a comparison of how much energy is released in a supernova explosion. So if we take up all the amount of energy that is released by sun in 1 second, we can power United States for 9 million years. So that's the amount of energy that we get from our sun. And the amount of energy that a supernova releases is 10 billion, is equal to the energy that is released by our sun in 10 billion years. So that's the amount of energy that a supernova releases. And even NASA says that this is the biggest explosion that ever happens in our space. Now, so this graph, this picture kind of depicts about how, so this 50 light year is a distance of destructiveness. So any supernova that occurs in this radius can cause huge impacts on our planet. Now we have had 2,000 stars in this radius, and a supernova happens once in 250 million years, and until now we have never had any supernova that could have created mass extinctions on our planet. And there has been life on our planet for almost 4.1 billion years now. In 4.1 billion years, we have never had any catastrophic supernova. So the odds are already there, 1 by 2,000. So another fascinating thing about the supernova is even a scientist cannot predict when it can happen. It can happen today, it might be happening right now, it might be traveling at a speed of light, we'll never know. So when I spoke about how asteroids and supernova can have huge impact on our planet, there's one point is clear, and that is where there is life, there is hope. But this is still not the lesson. So if we go back in time for around 100 years, we used letters for mass communication. Now, we have reached a situation where I am giving this talk right now and my parents are watching me live from India. So that's how technologically advanced we humans are. Now, this is a graph which shows how human intelligence is increasing. So it is increasing. So we are here right now, and it is increasing at an exponential scale. So imagine what humans would do in next 100,000 or 1 lakh years. So one of the fascinating things that we humans can do is, we might be colonizing other planets. We could travel at a speed that is equal to the speed of light, and we would also be doing interstellar travels. Now imagine there was an intelligent species which existed somewhere in our galaxy ahead of us. So there is this organization called SETI, whose main purpose is to listen for signals in extraterrestrial space. And SETI has been listening for signals for almost 70 years. And in these 70 years, SETI has never received even one signal from extraterrestrial space, nor we have never been visited by aliens. So when we look at all this, about how we have never heard or been visited, so if you do not have an insurance policy against alien abduction, it's still a wise bet. So when I spoke about how like major events that can like cause extinction on our planet, and how until now we have never discovered anyone other than us, like any intelligent species, one lesson that our cosmos is trying to tell us, and that is, you are special. You as human being is special. So that's the first lesson from our cosmos. Okay, so this is me. So these are my expectations and problems. So let me see where I stand in the bigger picture. So this is Cisco and United States. Now, like, you cannot even see me or my problems. So this is a graph, or this is an image which shows our solar system. So Earth is just the 4th largest planet in our solar system. And our sun is so huge that we can fit almost like thousands of Earth in one sun. And this is Milky Way galaxy. So Milky Way galaxy alone has around 200 billion stars, and each star might have its own planet. And this is our whole cosmos, or the universe, which has around 200 billion galaxies. And you can do the math about how many stars are there and how many planets are there. Now, next time, all of us, if we have a problem that we have to face or any expectations that's not being met, all we can do is step out of our house and look at the night sky and look at the big picture that we human beings and our problems or expectations is very small in the bigger picture. So this is one of the famous quote where they say more is known than is unknown. More is unknown than is known. Now this is a graph which shows about how our universe is segregated. So all the beautiful things that we see around us are made up of atoms, and they are just 4% of our universe. And 96% of our universe is an unknown entity because it comprises of dark energy and dark matter. And what this dark energy and dark matter is, no one ever knows. They just know it is there, but no one knows what it is. And all the amazing laws that we have, including Einstein's theory of relativity and all, doesn't apply to the 96% of our universe. So when we look at 2 points about how small we human beings are in front of our universe, and how so much of things is unknown to us in our universe, the second lesson that our cosmos is trying to tell us is we have to feel grateful and not greatness for all our achievements because we are very small. Okay, so in 2024, SpaceX is planning to send its first cargo ship to Mars. And in 2026, we might have first Martian in Mars. And by 2028, again, SpaceX has plans of having interplanetary travel where we can travel from one continent to other continent with a speed faster than pizza delivery. So that's how faster we can travel from continents. This is a timeline which shows about how long it's going to take, and the average is around 30 minutes. You can travel from New York to London, or probably SF to London, in less than 30 minutes. And by 2030, even if SpaceX fails in its plans to send humans on Mars, so NASA does have plans for sending humans to Mars. And by 2040, robotics and AI would be so advanced that we would be having robots do our daily activities along with this. Like, you might have seen the video from Boston Dynamics. They might help us, like organizing our dishes and stuff like that. And by 2050, we might reach a stage where we would have thousands and thousands of humans and human colonies on Mars. So, and there's one more amazing thing that I just came about yesterday, and that was NASA has plans of having a rocket which would be powered by lasers, and these rockets can reach Mars in just 3 days. That's one of the plans that NASA has. So we would also be making trips to our nearby. There's one star which is Century B, which is an adjoining star to our sun, and we might reach there soon. So when we look at how there are a lot of amazing events that are set ahead of us in the future, the third lesson that our universe is trying to tell us is our future is exciting. So these are the 3 lessons that I saw when I looked at our cosmos, apart from all the things that we know about how we came into evolution, and they are: we are special, feel grateful and not greatness for your achievements, and third thing is our future is exciting. So these are the lessons. And so coming to the odds. So I have calculated the odds that I would be here in front of all of you and giving this talk. And when I got the answer, even I was fascinated to see that the number was so huge that even if one event had gone wrong, I wouldn't be here. So the odds are 1 in 3 billion. So that's the odd that I had to beat to be here, and probably these are the odds that probably all of you might be or would be close to. So another fascinating thing is, apart from the odds that I would be here, there was this another interesting concept on what are the odds that me would be me, the odds of me being born as me. And the answer to this is much more fascinating than the odds that I'd be here, and that is So this is one of the posts which talks about the odds, and that is 1 by 400 trillion. So those are the odds that that had to take for you to be you and for me to be me. So the odd is, so I had to like double check with my friend to see if all my calculations were right, but the odds is like, it's a huge number. So let's have a small video, I think.
Will survive another 1,000 years without escaping beyond our fragile planet. It has been a glorious time to be alive, doing research in theoretical physics. The fact that we humans, who are ourselves mere collections of fundamental particles of nature, have been able to come this close to an understanding of the laws governing us and our universe, is a great triumph. And I'm happy if I have made a small contribution. I want to share my excitement and enthusiasm about this quest. So remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see, and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up. While there's life, there is hope.
So that was an amazing speech by Stephen Hawking. Okay, so in 2025, in case I go to Mars, and probably these might be my problems, and expectations also. I think I'm done. Okay, thank you so much.
So stay on up here. So questions
Yeah.
about
The cosmos. That's too much practice.
Do you usually think of these things, or how did you come up with this topic?
Well, so this came up. So I had this idea after I came to US. So whenever I call my mom and like I'm having a conversation with her, so we generally get to like mom like that's not happening in this way. So during those times I used to tell my mom that I was just telling her the vastness of our universe and how like small we human beings are in front of all that. So that was one of the motivations for me to have this talk, where I realized like we human beings are just small entities here, and I mean there's no influence that we can have in our universe. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of thought about it.
I want to actually, I don't know if it's an addition or correction to that. We may be small granules of sand, but we make the ocean big. And you speak of the macrocosm, we also have a microcosm within us. So
Yeah.
we have a world within us also to explore.
Correct.
We are significant, but at the same time you are right. We're just a small speck in the pale blue dot in the sky, and that was by Carl Sagan, who actually inspired Cosmos, the series.
Oh.
And it's wonderful to see that at your age, at this time of your life, you're able to think so large, and also kind of put the question out there to actually individually allow us to think how significant is our contribution in our macrocosm and our microcosm as well. So, very good.
So that was a very interesting topic. Thank you for sharing so much information, and I am going to research about it all weekend. But I wanted to find out if you actually had so much knowledge before. Is that something that interests you and when you began, or you actually just collected that for the talk?
So when I always wanted to, I was interested in like space science, and I keep reading a lot of books and blogs and everything that is related to this topic. So that's when I already had the 3 lessons. So when I initially spoke to Paul for the first time, I was like, these are the 3 lessons that I want people to know. So that's how I already knew what the lessons that our cosmos is trying to tell us. But the other points was just to prove how it, like like finalizes the each individual lesson that our cosmos is trying to tell us.
And I have another question. How did you calculate the odds?
So it started with initially about like the mortality rate in India, and then about how many of us actually make like engineering degrees, and then how many of us would graduate, and how many of us would get a job, and then how many of us would actually plan to come to US, and how, like out of that, would I come to East Coast, West Coast? In East Coast, I had like let's say 10 universities. The odds are like 1 by 10. I'd land up in my San Jose State University, and then we had around. Then so once I landed in masters, the probability that I would get a job was 1, let's say, and then the probability that I would get into East Coast or West Coast for a job was again half. And then the probability that I would get into, like say, Fortune 500 companies like Cisco was again half. And let's say out of that, the probability that I would get into like top 100 was 1 by 100, where Cisco was one of them. So that's how I kind of went again to get. So it's all end. It's all huge number.
What are the odds that dinosaurs are still here?
Huh?
What are the odds? Like what?
0 because you're here.
Yeah. But we wish we could change something to bring them back.
Yeah, probably.
Also, out of curiosity, are we inferring that the next supernova can possibly cause the extinction of?
It can happen, but we never know if it's going to happen or not. But I don't think in our lifetime. So even if it can happen, we would know. I mean, we would just get wiped out.
You said it's 250 million years per supernova.
It happens once, yeah.
And so 67 million years was
I
the
mean,
last one happened.
that's the prediction.
Prediction.
But like no one cannot, like no scientist can say when a sun is going to collapse. Like that's something that's out of our reach. But one interesting thing is probably next 1,000 years, I think a planet would not be habitable for sure. So in 2050 or 2040, the population of Earth is going to be 9 billion. And then I think half of them might not even get fresh water because the caps are melting and everything. So there is like one disappointing and also an excitement story. So save your money for Mars. At least you can use your 401k, I think. Yeah.
So what was your mom's reaction to your early dancer?
My mom was like, she didn't know that our cosmos is so big, you know. Yeah, like, I mean, it's almost like 12 trillion stars. And let's imagine that even there was an intelligent species like 1 billion ahead of us, like we came into existence 4.1 billion years. So even if they had come into existence in, let's say, like 5 billion, like even 100,000 years ahead of us, then I think they would have populated the whole galaxy by now. So that's the reason I say that there's no one. Because if that was the case, then they would be populating the galaxy. And so, yeah, that's, I think, we are special.
So why the sweets?
Huh? Because of the odds that you would be here.
All right.
Actually, to add to it, the question that you had asked, Savera, all the stars have a lifespan. So even our Earth has our Sun has a lifespan, and there's a theory that it's fading out. So there's a possibility that even we might get extinct because of the Earth, because of the Sun fading out. You can read it online.
That'll take a long
I mean, there are so many
We might
fascinating
not
theories.
exist until then, but there are a lot of
There
possibilities.
is also a possibility because the closest galaxy is the Andromeda, and we are supposed to be close to the binary, that kind of formation.
So in one of the PPTs, so NASA has plans of sending probes to Century B, which is an Earth-like planet that orbits Century A, which is a star. I think 1 week ago NASA found some organic matter in Mars, so which is related to, let's say, a life that existed, you know, like before. But those are all like microorganisms, and the odds that a life from a single cell can become so intelligent is, I think it's huge. It's huge. Like this is a topic that is out of, you know, like our understanding. So.
All right, let's give Rajesh another hand. I had a great time working with both these guys. It was really fun, and